The next poster, which says that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, is a new poster published in 2003 by an Israel advocacy group called Blue Star PR out in Berkeley. And it says anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. So the two poles of the debate, one that says Zionism is racism, which is the Arab, Palestinian, and Muslim perspective, is represented in the posters. And the other perspective, that of the Israel advocacy group that says anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, is represented. So the two poles are represented, but the great number of perspectives in the middle are totally missing. And I want to go, those two posters relate to the next one, which shows a signpost that says Palestine in Arabic and English, and it's been sort of painted over, washed over with paint. And Israel, the name Israel has been written on top of it. And on the very top of the poster is the word no. And so these two posters that I just showed, one that says Zionism equals racism and one that says anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, is responded to by one artist, a European artist, by the word no, representing the fact that not everybody in the world accepted that transition. And so what I'm saying is that the posters indicate the existence of a desire for the debate, a desire for a wider debate. And the next poster is by Iris Dishon, a very talented Israeli artist. And in order to appreciate this poster, you have to look at the next one, which is a photograph of Theodor Herzl. And what she did with her poster is, well, let me talk about the photograph for a second. It's the photograph of Theodor Herzl, who is considered the George Washington of modern Israel. And he's leaning over a balcony in Basel, Switzerland in 1897, at the very moment that he was successful in convincing all the different Zionist organizations that came to the conference to work to establish the State of Israel. It's considered a transcendent moment in modern Israeli history. And all Israelis know this picture. And sometimes they dress him in Santa Claus, or he gets dressed in, he's skiing. And this picture is beloved and sacred to Israelis. What Iris Dishon did in 1998 with her poster, which is entitled Israel, she took Yasser Arafat and she cast him in exactly the same pose.
Same shadow.
Same exact pattern. And she used the Palestinian national colors of red, black, green, and white. And what she's saying, and it's sometimes difficult for Americans to understand Israeli posters because they're heavily nuanced and they use irony a great deal, is she's saying that from her perspective as an Israeli and as a Zionist, there's no distinction in the moral beginnings of either the Palestinian nationalist movement or the Israeli national movement. Both men wanted to bring their people in from a diaspora. Both men wanted to return their people to Palestine. Both men wanted their people to live in peace. Now, the actual trajectories and the actual histories of Israel and Palestine are different, but that's not what this artist was saying. This artist was making a comment, a statement really, about the moral beginnings of Israel and Palestine.
They're both very meaningful.
The next poster is from a new website established by the Central Zionist Archives in Tel Aviv, and it says Young Judea, and it's basically symbolically is promoting the emigration of American Jews to Palestine. They're being welcomed by an Israeli, and the one is standing on the map of America. One is standing on the map of Israel, Palestine, and the four topics that Young Judea, which is a young organizing group for young Jewish Americans, was group activities, Jewish living, Zionism, and American affairs. And I included the poster because it actually breaks down two of the things that we're trying to discuss now, which is Zionism and how Zionism relates to domestic American affairs. The next one is a travel poster from the mid-50s promoting, this is a travel and tourism to Israel. And one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to show this poster, and I have another one, I don't think it made it into this presentation, is to show that in terms of political organization, both the Israelis and the Palestinian people have organized themselves into professional unions, students' unions, doctors, teachers, agriculturalists, nurses, all kinds, and they have conferences around the world to promote. This one was to promote struggle and redemption. Perhaps the most fascinating and the most powerful genre of contemporary political art from Israel, Palestine, is those done by anti-Zionist Israeli artists. This one is done by Yossi Lamel, who was a soldier in Lebanon. And he's a graphic designer. He's won many awards. And I think for Americans to look at the art of young Israeli artists who oppose Zionist politics, and many oppose Zionism, is very eye-opening, because in the United States we rarely get that perspective. We rarely get a critical and very rarely get a graphic representation of opposition to Zionism.
From the Israelis themselves.
From Israeli artists
absolutely.
themselves, yes. And one of the things that this poster shows that I think is so important is that the quality of debate in Israel is much healthier, much more open and much more inclusive. Yeah, the debate here is very brittle and very unhealthy. This next poster was called L'Chaim Intifada, and it's by a group called Gays for Free Palestine. And it's a Jewish American group from Philadelphia, and it took the two words L'Chaim, which means life,
in Hebrew,
and Intifada, which means uprising in Arabic, and they've adopted it as their slogan, because they feel this American Jewish group feels that opposition to the occupation is a moral obligation for American Jews. This next poster, and I'm going to read the caption. This is by Lisa Koken, a Bay Area, a San Francisco Bay Area artist. And she says in her poster here that being Jewish is not the same as being Zionist. Our own history of persecution as Jews helps us to understand and support the struggle of the Palestinians to determine their own destiny. And here in a poster by an American Jewish artist is, in fact, the repudiation of the Merriam-Webster conflation of the terms anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism. She's saying that it's, and at the website I write an essay about this, that the Jewish ethical principle of tikkun olam, which is offering your life in service to justice, obligates her to speak out on behalf of Palestinian human and political rights. And so both of these peoples, both Israelis and Palestinians, have used the poster to discuss almost every aspect of their history. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to render that a little more visible.
Absolutely.
And here's a poster dedicated to Rachel Corrie, who was an American housing rights a volunteer who was killed by an American-built bulldozer in occupied territories.
She was run over by an American-built Caterpillar, I think, but driven by an Israeli settler, if I recall, or Israeli soldier.
Yes, and so this is a memorial poster to her. This poster is by Roger Cook. He's an American artist, and I consider it to be one of the most powerful and provocative posters on the issue ever done. Unlike other posters which have featured the American flag and the Magen David, or the Star of David, the symbol of modern Israel, this one, because it bears no caption, it requires the viewer to do their own interpretation of what the artist is trying to say. And here, I mean, my interpretation of it is that the artist is trying to say that Zionism is a domestic political force in the United States, that it is affecting and shaping political discourse. And he uses the American flag and the six-pointed Star of David to make that point. The fact that it doesn't have a caption requires the viewer to put their own caption on this.
To start thinking.
And it's sort of like a Rorschach card, because it's very revealing work. And if you stand in front of exhibits where this poster is displayed and you listen to the conversations between the viewers, you'll see that it actually does work to promote and instigate debate.
We are almost running out of time, so if you could show us two more posters.
Sure. This one is by Hilmi Tooney, and we're in the posters. It's done by a Palestinian artist to promote a Palestinian cultural event in Madrid.
Okay.
This one is by a French artist from an exhibit in 1979 called Palestine, a Homeland Denied.
Okay.
This one is called, it's actually from the same exhibit, and it's by a Moroccan artist, Mohammed Malihi.
Which says Al-Quds.
Which says Jerusalem. Okay. And this one is by an Australian artist. It says Palestine will win. And this last one is by Fatah, which is a faction of the PLO, and I included it, it's in Palestinian national colors, because it incorporated the signs of the three great religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Muslim, and showed that from its earliest days, the PLO intended to be a non-sectarian organization and to include viewpoints from all perspectives and all religions.